Am I the only person not wearing a tank top?
I know. It's hot.
Fix
as
it,
hell.
Jason. Fix it. Just take your shirt off.
Yeah, you got to show some of the wet nips.
I know. Well, you missed it. Yeah, because Micah decided to take his shirt off like mid-episode, and me and Mikey were like,
we didn't complain.
I was like, I'm not mad at it.
Oh yeah, Micah's, what did he say? Pepperoni nipples. So.
Oh my god. This is Slashers, your new favorite podcast about your new favorite horror media. Happy 4th of July, my mutant goons. And with me today, as always, are my esteemed colleagues, co-hosts, and cohorts. My boo-boo Mikey,
Hey.
Hello.
Jason, and Doug, who we have not heard from in a little bit. And I'm really excited to have him on this episode. Boys, say hello to the mutant goons from beyond.
Hola.
Hello.
Hey, I think we all said hi already, but
Oh.
hey.
Hey, mutant goons from beyond.
Yes, everybody loves to interrupt my intro. This is like the new bit now. I'm so excited about it. No one would ever do this to Jake. I just want to kind of pepper that in. So anyways.
Well, basically we look like the Supreme Court here, so that's kind of how it is, isn't it? He's a man.
What rights are we going to take away today? Yay. Okay. So happy 4th of July, everybody. So this episode's airing on 4th of July. We're actually recording it on Thursday, the week before. So hence why nobody's wearing any flag paraphernalia, right?
That's the only reason.
So what better way to kick off? Well, before we get started, let's, go around the room really quick. Is there anything that anybody would like to discuss? Is there anything new that somebody was, watching this week that had a good time with and wanted to just share with everyone before we get started?
Well, the reason I haven't been on for much episodes is that we're near completion on Trash Juice. I got to film a few more things, a possessed squirrel hand puppet, so a few more things here, and yeah, that should be out by October. As for things I watched this week, I did watch Girls Night Out, which is available on Arrow, but I'm sure within a few weeks it'll be on Tubi for free. So it's a cool little slasher in a teddy bear costume with steak knives for claws. So that was really cool. And you get the first.
I saw that on YouTube the other day, and I was like, I've got it saved in my watch videos for later. Is it good?
I like it a lot. Yeah, and it's the first sex scene I ever seen where they do a Dutch oven. The guy farts on the woman.
Well, that sounds so romantic.
Been there.
Oh God, I don't even begin with that. Okay. So that's exciting. Anybody else want to share any media or anything they've been going through?
I've just been crushing Brooklyn Nine-Nine here recently. I don't know why. I've never finished
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You never finished it?
No, I've never, for whatever reason, I just didn't watch the last season when it came out, and I just kind of forgot about it because there's just so much content constantly out there. You just forget about a TV show, and you just forget about it forever.
Oh,
and
so
yeah,
we haven't finished it either. That's so funny that you just said that. I just realized I haven't finished the new season either.
So Captain Holt is the best part of the entire show.
Oh, he's the best. Him, I love Terry Crews. And then obviously, Andy Samberg, and then Santiago, which is, me. And she's literally, somebody told me at school one time that she one of my admins, she's like, do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you're just like Santiago. I'm like, I know, but I know that's not a compliment.
How many trapper keepers do you have?
I have a lot of binders. Well, I don't use binders. I just use the notebooks, as you can see. So.
Legal pads.
Anyway, Mikey, anything you want to share?
Well, I mean, this show keeps me pretty busy with watching stuff, so everything I've seen has been for this show. But I did start a book called Creature by John Saul, so that's pretty interesting. I have no idea what it's about. I'm about halfway through. I think I have an idea what it's about. But has anybody read it? I know we have some readers here.
I haven't read it. No, is that I've seen it though. Is that an older book, or did it come out recently?
I think it came out in '89.
Okay, yes, that's one. I think I saw it in Paperbacks from Hell. Have you read that?
I haven't. Isn't that just where they like review paperbacks with like?
Yeah, like all those old horror paper.
Yeah,
like all those old horror. It's really good. But I think I remember seeing that one getting mentioned in that book, which is a lot of fun. It's a good coffee table book.
Yeah, I bought it from Half Price Books, and I swear I can't find anything to support it, but I swear Disturbing Behavior is heavily based off this.
You think?
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Well, that's actually really interesting. That's a really good movie, and I've been
Yeah.
wanting to do that. So maybe we could like juxtapose that with the film, you know.
Well, this is something I also found out, that Disturbing Behavior has like a super like violent cut that they refused to release. So it's out there somewhere. Apparently, it was a lot darker than it was originally.
It's pretty nasty though. There are times where they're like going into their shit and stuff. So I mean, it's a good one. It's a good one. But I know that you guys were talking about doing a segment on, you know, any kind of horror novelizations or anything like that. So if anybody is interested in any of that, slasherspod@gmail.com, or you can email me slasherspod@gmail.com and let us know your thoughts about that. So since we are in 4th of July, yay, happy B-Day, America. We decided,
even if you're not feeling very patriotic, we'll still do a little hurrah for each other.
I'm trying to be very positive, bringing good vibes this way.
Remember what George Bush said on Harold and Kumar: you don't have to love your government to love your country.
Yeah, just be patriotic. Go tap the guy's foot in the men's airport bathroom, get a blowjob by a politician, you know?
Yeah, that's actually
if only
probably going to happen. So, oh, you know what? Okay, so which one would you want? Because you know who's like, okay, and he's a Republican too, but Paul Ryan.
It's always the Republicans, yeah.
Paul Ryan.
Paul Ryan's adorable.
Is that the one that was supposed to be VP?
Yeah, VP with Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
Oh, they were I didn't vote for them, but they were very handsome. And
well, Paul Ryan is now DP with Mitt Romney. So.
He's also a huge Rage Against the Machine fan, which I was like, have you listened to any of their lyrics? They hate you.
Well, Mitt Romney is actually one of the few Republicans that has been like fighting the party, and he's been getting so much shit. So I still follow him because like he'll say something and then you'll see all the like really right-wing people talking all this shit to him in all his comments.
I know. I feel sorry for him because he is turning into one of like the good ones. Like we need to hang on to that kind of Republican.
Yeah, like remember when Republicans weren't that bad? Like
yeah. Well, now it's either like Mitch McConnell's like the first thing that comes to mind.
How he's going to be dead soon. So when that day comes, we shall declare a national holiday.
He'll probably be dead when he's giving some guy a gobbling, using his gobbler as a blowjob at the airport.
Gross.
Oh, well, that go for you.
Speaking of these monsters that are in our country.
Yes. Oh, yes. So we actually have cryptids or fictional, or they could be real. We do have monsters in this country. We have a lot of folklore. And so Mikey had suggested that we do the Scariest Monsters in America. And it's actually a Tubi exclusive, as Doug loves. They're his favorite. And so we decided that we were going to actually go through, and they did a countdown of the scariest cryptids throughout the country. Now, what I thought was interesting with this one was that they did mention other ones. Like every time they mentioned a cryptid from a certain state, they would talk about some cryptids that were very similar from other states. So I did notice, and I was very offended, that Florida was not on this list.
That's because Florida is a fucking monster in itself.
Yeah.
Well, they should have had bath salt people. Bath salt
zombies.
That's what I was saying. I mean, we have enough going on here that there's like, I guess they're not cryptids, right?
Yeah. Well, a cryptid by definition is an animal that has not been proved by science. Florida has been proved by science to be fucking crazy. That's why it's not considered a cryptid.
Yeah, I mean, what the cryptid, old people with shotguns saying your music's too damn loud, or alligator boys. I don't know.
I feel like Bigfoot or the skunk ape in Florida would just be like wearing a MAGA hat and have a face tattoo. Like that's the Florida Bigfoot.
Oh, it is. It is. That's so sad. And it's true, because if you go to like Jacksonville, or you go to, like, the further north you go, the more southern it gets. It's the weirdest thing here. I'm in Central Florida. So for people who don't know where Orlando is, it's in the very middle. But we're pretty much, like in the mid, like there's rednecks here, but it's not like, if you go to Tallahassee, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
The southern, it's so weird because Florida's like that, because Florida has a lot of like big gay happening spots.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And then Miami is basically Cuba. So it's like, what is happening? Like, how do we have we're very eclectic. We're very I don't want to say inclusive, but we're very diverse. That's
I feel like it's like Texas. Florida and Texas are so big. The larger cities that have more of an impact are very inclusive, but it's all the smaller cities and towns that are not that kind of overpower that.
Yeah, which is interesting. So I think that, I feel like the whole cryptid thing is interesting in and of itself, especially when we're talking about American folklore, because each of these monsters comes from states that are like, nothing comes from like South Dakota or like a state we don't give a shit about, right? And I'm sorry if you're from South Dakota, but like, really, what's there? The faces? What is that?
The faces?
The faces on the mountain.
Oh,
What
Mount
is
Rushmore.
Mount Gushmore. Yeah.
Mount Gushmore. Yeah, that's there, right? That's in South Dakota. I think that's the only thing.
Pretty sure it's South Dakota.
Yeah. Okay. See, I knew that. All right. Yay, America. I'm American. So when you talk about that, like, it's just interesting how some of these cryptids have come from these more rural or suburban areas in each of their states, except for, I want to say the Mothman was more like in people's faces. But when you talk about Bigfoot, when you talk about, any of the witches, they're all in like more suburban or rural areas, which I find interesting. So they're not in the big cities either, right? So what do you guys think about that?
I think because doesn't Mothman make appearances in some big cities?
He's the only exception. That's what I said. He's the only exception. But for the other ones, I feel like all of them are just in like little, I don't want to say podunk areas, but
well, I feel it's kind of just like animals in general, like construction people, things like that are gonna naturally make creatures of any type go out towards the woods, because that's something also interesting that I wanted to kind of discuss when it comes to these monsters is what's the likelihood of them actually existing.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the documentary itself and the monsters that we focused on, and then I want to end the episode on that, because I think it's really interesting when you're watching the documentary. Everybody who's talking seems to really believe in what they're discussing, right? I don't know if all of you noticed that or not.
Oh yeah, they totally did. Like, and they were like, "This is not." I mean, I had fun with the documentary, but it's not a very in depth. It's very like surface level. It was like, we got these two podcasters, and one of them was an influencer, and the other guy was a researcher of the weird.
He's like, I got a PhD and my doctorate in the science of weird. He's like
from the University of Phoenix.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Some of them are quote content creators and this, that. Some of them are folklore researchers, which that I can get behind, because that falls in more in the line of like literature and history and things of that nature. So like the two chicks, and I try to write everybody's names down, but the one chick, like the older white one with the longer hair,
was it Sarah?
Did I write her name down?
Or Camille?
Camille or Sarah, I can't remember. She was the white one, and then the one with the cropped haircut. I feel like those two were the most credible researchers here, because they're both researchers. So when they were discussing things, very objectively. I feel like everybody else was.
I gotta say, I'm looking on IMDb right now. Their pictures for their IMDb, it looks like a Mortal Kombat tower stacking. Like they don't have very good faces. They're all like,
All right, can I put a pause really quick?
Sure.
What were we talking about? I don't remember. Back to.
We were talking about the segment, or the people that were in the segments.
How you only believe girls.
No, they just so happen to be girls, but I feel like the one chick was androgynous, so she doesn't count. Anyways,
in Adrian's defense, the guys in this documentary didn't really do themselves many favors as far as being credible, like scholars. I mean, I can go on any documentary and call myself a researcher of the weird because I've got a phone and a Wikipedia articles I can read. Like, what makes these people researchers?
Well, the one guy that was one thing that was super interesting. So the one guy, the black guy that was basically the host of the show, he's the producer of the show. And what was his name? Lamont Perley Sr., host, producer, African American
podcast or folklore.
Yeah, that sounded super interesting.
So I would actually be interested in listening to that. But the white guy who I can't even remember, like I wrote all their names down and I forget who goes with who.
The one that looks like the dollar store Charles.
Oh yeah, Chad Lewis. That was bless his heart, Doug. So researcher of the weird. And I'm like, okay. Which you know what? I commend somebody for getting that, because are we any better? We do an entire show based on like crap that nobody cares about, right? It's like horror. Yeah. Like there's only like 20 of us that care about this stuff. So there you go. But at the end of the day, I think that this documentary was interesting. And I think that they made it for TV. I thought it was interesting, but like you said, surface level, but they had made it for TV. And you know this because they kept having to repeat themselves. It was like watching an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Like every time the commercial ends and then the show comes back on, they have to recap everything in case you missed it. Yeah. And they kept doing that. And I'm just like, there's no commercial. I mean, there's commercials on Tubi, but the commercials weren't happening during the recaps. The commercials would be happening during Chad Lewis's, Charles Band's, whatever, mid-sentence bullshit. And I'm just like, okay. But whatever.
Yeah, and also in this documentary's defense, they went over 10 cryptids in an hour and a half. You can't go but so deep when you're trying to get like 5 minutes on, the Mothman or another 5 minutes on Bigfoot. So I guess they can't go but so deep anyway.
Yeah, and I think I texted the group too when we were watching it. I said, "Oh, this is so hokey." Like,
yeah, it was exactly like. Did y'all ever see Paranormal Caught on Camera?
No.
Yeah, it's a show I used to watch, which is interesting because they actually had like camera footage of what they thought was paranormal stuff, and then there would be these specialists like the ones we had in this film that would kind of like break down, and like they'd have people that specialize in like video editing to be like, yeah, you can totally do that with this, or no, that's not fake. So that's kind of what it reminded me of.
I felt like this would have fit, besides it being like a TV thing. Like I really felt like this would have came on like after Days of Our Lives and before Judge Judy. Like that's how.
Okay, in Days of Our Lives defense, my brother and I are both named after Days of Our Lives characters, so you can't come for that show. And their brother and sister on the show.
Aw.
Sorry, Ma, I threw you under the bus. Anyway, but yeah, it just could have been better, yes. But think about the audience it's pandering to, and think about, again, we're counting down, just like Jason said. They probably could have gotten more information in had they not had to keep repeating, oh, we went to here, we went to here, we went to Texas, we went to Arizona, now we're here. And they kept having to repeat these things. And I feel like this could have been such a good informative, because I love horror documentaries. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I love a good horror documentary. One of my favorite ones I watch all the time is actually Red, White, and Blue, the horror documentary that's on Prime. It basically it's really in depth. It's very informative, and it really kind of goes through the layers of horror movies in America and how they match the American climate at the time. And so, we should do that at some point. But
we should see what comes out this year.
Next year. But when you talk about these things, because horror is basic, and people hate to think this, and even B movies are, especially Doug's B movies, because he's constantly referring to Karens and these types of people, right? All of the, like, I feel like every horror movie is political in some way, and people don't like to believe that, oh, it's just a horror movie. No, there's a political commentary, and you can get away with it better with a horror film, or and this documentary did mention that some of these cryptids were manifestations of feelings that were going on in that, wherever the hell it was happening, manifestation of like everybody's anger, manifestation of this. And so I really truly believe that horror is a really great way to kind of showcase these things and in the guise of horror. So people who aren't really, and not even, I don't want to say that they're not smart, but they're not intelligent enough to recognize that, they can still enjoy it without taking anything political away from it. Does that make any sense, or am I just...
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, you look at some recent big movies that come out recently, like Get Out or Us, are certainly very political horror movies with a theme. So I mean, yeah, they always reflect the time that they come out. I mean, look at all those torture porn movies of the 2000s. We were just mean because everybody was at war constantly in the 2000s. All those movies were just mean and violent and aggressive, you know.
Mm-hmm. And everybody was angry then. Like, it was just a really difficult time, and those films were a reflection of what was happening here in this country. And so, you know, this is probably our most July 4th episode, I want to say, ever. So
yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Mikey. So Mikey, do you have the countdown, or do you want me to do the countdown?
I started doing the countdown, but then you were like, it's my show, I'm running this show, so I stopped at 6.
Why don't you do the last 5? So we'll just go through the list quickly. Mikey will do 10 to 5. I'll do 4 to 1, or no, right? 10 to...
I'll do 10 to 6 because I don't have 5.
Okay, 10 to 6. I'll do 5 to 1. And then we'll all break away and just kind of discuss. And so after that, we'll do Jason, you go first. Mikey, Doug, I want you to go last because Doug's is my favorite. I think
Octopus.
It's the perfect way to kind of like...
It's like it's the Doug cryptid. Like, if there was a cryptid on this list that would be Doug in A Secret Life, it would be that one.
Oh, no.
Talking about the octopus, right?
Yeah.
The octopusy.
Oh, but no, I'll explain to you the guy that's talking about it. Just think of like the big, they call them the galoots from Ren and Stimpy, where they're scratching their ass and they have their gut hanging out and telling their story of their life. That's what it reminded me of. Yeah, the galoots from Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, he was interesting. But coming in at number 10, which I assume means this is the least scary of the top 10 monsters of America, is the Chupacabra, known as the goat sucker, which was also Aid's name in high school. I'm just kidding. I couldn't.
Goat sucker, yeah, shooting the goat milk.
I'm sorry. Micah is not present, so we're not playing this game
today. I'm sorry. He was rubbing off on me.
God.
But anyways, Chupacabra, we were like deciding if we were going to pick monsters to kind of like talk about. Of course, I'd have to do this one because I live in Texas, and Chupacabra is mostly talked about and discussed in the South and Mexico. And I don't know, are we just listing them, or are we going to talk about them a little bit?
Well, just okay, quick. All right, just quick. What is it? And then what is the media surrounding it? So basically, what the fuck is it? And then what are some books, movies based around it? Is there anything popular that we know about? Blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
That's it.
So Chupacabra, folklore. So this documentary did actually teach me something. The original concept of the Chupacabra was that it was an alien. And they have like the illustrations of what it looked like originally. I don't know if y'all remember that, but originally they thought it was an alien. But then it kind of evolved once sightings started happening, that it was more of like I forgot how they described it. It was like a dog with alligator skin and some sort of snout. And the Chupacabra, even though it's like considered a cryptid and folklore, it's actually kind of pop culture, at least in Texas, because I went to the zoo with Olivia last week and scared the shit out of me. They have a bat exhibit, and in the bat exhibit, all the lights are off. And so you go in there and you can see the bats just like chilling or whatever. And this bat exhibit has been there since I was a kid. So I don't really go in there because I like am not a big fan of bats. Olivia wanted to go in, and so I was like, fine, we'll go see the bats, but don't get scared. She's like, okay. We walk in, I get scared because they put a fucking Chupacabra next to the bats, and it's all dark, and I just see these glowing red eyes, and it's like what a Chupacabra would look like from what they've all gathered. And there's even a real cute placard next to it that kind of goes into the science and like the evidence we have of the Chupacabra. And I was like, okay, I appreciate this now. I don't appreciate when I almost just took a shit on the floor when I walked in here. So I thought that was a real funny story. And also as far as movies go, Chupacabra,
there's got to be an asylum movie somewhere.
There's a couple. Even one of Doug and my friend Joe Castro has made one.
Hey, it's a trauma movie now.
So. Yeah, I forgot what it was called because
it was a Legend of the Chupacabra.
Legend of the Chupacabra, but they've all, they're all kind of in the same vein of like a trauma asylum type film.
Is that the guy who did Terror Toons?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the Chupacabra. I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Moving on. Next, we have the Black-Eyed Children. I only recently heard about this because I sometimes listen to podcasts that discuss like horror or like scary true stories. And I have heard of the Black-Eyed Children, which are these children that show up to your house and they don't have eyes, basically. It's not like they're missing. It's just, it's all black in their eyes. And so you're not supposed to let them in. This documentary kept kind of comparing them to vampires, which I was like, I guess. Not supposed to let them in, because if you let them in, then they don't kill you. But when they leave, you kind of just start having a bunch of unfortunate shit happen to you. The biggest story was that a woman let him in, and when they left, I think she ended up getting cancer and her cat died or something. I mean, it could have just been a coincidence, but there's apparently a couple other stories where bad shit happens based off of people who have let these kids in. They're not really in films. The one thing they are in is a Hulu Into the Dark entry, which, if y'all aren't aware, Hulu basically has a series called Into the Dark where they make a horror film based off of a different holiday, whatever.
Yeah, Blumhouse puts it out.
Yeah, and they're actually pretty good. I've liked more than I have not liked when it comes to those entries.
I've only seen a handful of those.
I've been trying to watch all of them. I think I'm like halfway done, but they have an entry called They Come Knocking, which is about the Black-Eyed Kids, or the Black-Eyed Children. Next, we have yes. Next, we have the Oklahoma Octopus, which you may be asking yourselves, but Slashers podcast, there's no oceans in Oklahoma, and you'd be right.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So I guess this is my turn to segue, right?
Go ahead and take it with your 8-inch arms. I mean, your 8 arms.
All right. So the 8-inch arms squirting black ink. So anyway, this octopus, apparently it's in Oklahoma. People go swimming in this lake, and when people are like, I can't swim anymore, it sucks them down, and it's the octopus's fault. You got to blame something on someone. So everyone's after this elusive octopus that lives in the fresh water. That gets around. Well, octopuses are pretty smart, so maybe this one's like, oh, you know what? I want to be an urban legend, so maybe I'm gonna be a jerk. But no, we got our one character. Was his name David Weatherly? That was anyway. He's this guy. Like as I mentioned before, think of the very large guys from Ren and Stimpy that have their guts hanging out. They're like, they talk like that, and they're hairy. This one guy's like, I've been chasing after this Oklahoma octopus, and this is my life goal. Oklahoma octopus. Basically, it's like if I'm Moby Dick, or wait, no, I'm sorry. If I'm Captain Ahab and he's my Moby Dick, but Moby Dick is actually an octopus. So basically, it's like, and the way they edit it, like he's legit serious, but I think the editor was like laughing behind the scenes, so that's why they're like, you know what, I'm gonna make this guy seem like he's serious, but
he was just like standing out in an open field and be like, I'm going to find this octopus. I'm going to
find this octopus, and
I'm not going to kill it. I'm going to find it for science.
This man has never read Moby Dick his entire life, and you know it.
Well, he even said, I'm Moby Dick. I'm like, well, maybe you are Moby Dick.
No, you're not.
Captain Ahab. You'd be Captain Ahab.
Like he got the thing. He names him Moby Dick. I'm like, this. No. Anyway. But yeah, and then I also got confused. Well, there was another guy too later on, but we'll get to him later. I call him the Ghostbuster of a Bigfoot. He's like, I made this cop car specifically for Bigfoot. And, if I arrested him, he'd go in the car. Hopefully this scares him away, but he could easily rip the door off. So I really don't know why I made a cop car to arrest him. I guess it's cool though, right?
Yeah.
That's how a lot of these people are that are being interviewed on this. And the person who edited this documentary knows it. It's kind of just like,
yeah.
Had you ever heard of this octopus before? Like, I've never
heard of this before.
Yeah, but who the fuck ever talks about Oklahoma except for the bombing? Like, do you ever talk about Oklahoma?
That's very true.
Yeah, I think I've never heard of this one before, but I kind of liked seeing something new because we can only hear about Chupacabra and Bigfoot and La Llorona so many times before we're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But an octopus that is very far from the ocean and somehow travels between 3 major lakes in Oklahoma is very enticing.
Well, they did explain that the octopus had adapted to freshwater, hence why he is able to survive.
But how do they explain that it's attacked people in the 3 different lakes that are not near each other?
He takes an Uber.
Maybe there's an underwater tunnel system.
And that one guy was like, it's possibly demonic, and I think maybe it's eating their souls. And
I
was like,
he was
where
like,
did that come from?
I think it's demonic and it's eating souls. It's like
it's eating pro-life mega souls. I love him. That's
oh my goodness!
There's probably a lot of that in Oklahoma.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna say the opposite. Aid. They're eating abortionists and homosexuals.
Yeah, but who else lives there? Like, who lives in Oklahoma voluntarily?
The only
place because the octopus keeps eating all the gays.
I wanted to get out of Oklahoma so bad. I went to boot camp at Fort Sill there for 9 weeks, and I hated Oklahoma. It was the fucking pimple on Satan's ass. Like, that's really what it was.
Oh my God, I keep forgetting. I'm so sorry. Doug is a veteran. You're a veteran, right?
Doug fought for your freedom, Aid.
Doug fought for me to not have my freedoms. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I think Supreme Court and Mitch McConnell go. Brr.
Yeah, Doug fought for the freedom of guns, not you, silly.
I know.
At any rate, coming in at number 7, we have the Rugaru, which I know I have seen something or seen a movie that talks about the Rugaru, but I don't really remember because I had no idea what it was when I heard it. But basically, a Rugaru is just a Cajun werewolf.
I thought I was going to do this one.
Oh, by all means, Jason.
So you may have heard of the Rugaru on Supernatural. There's a couple episodes of Supernatural that have the Rugaru. I remember it because I watched the first 4 or 5 seasons of Supernatural.
Did it take place in Louisiana?
I think it did, but it wasn't. It was a little bit more of a just man eaters. I don't think you really saw them go full werewolf all the time, and they were born that way. They weren't,
okay, Lady Gaga.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's basically just a Cajun werewolf. That's really all it was. They were saying it had its origins from the French loup-garou or something like that. Yeah. And the way to get rid of the Rugaru was the weirdest thing I'd seen in a long time. Just throw 13 pennies at it and it'll stop and count, but it can only count to 12, so it'll just keep going over and over. I was like, of all the things to kill a cryptid with, just throwing. I don't even keep loose change on me anymore. So
it didn't kill them. It didn't kill them. It confused them until the sun came up, and then they would leave.
Now, is this the one where they turned? There was one of them where they're like, "Oh, if you're not a good Christian conservative, we turn you into a." Was that the Rugaru?
Well, if it would attack people that aren't adhering to Lent, essentially. So if you're eating chocolate when you're saying you're not supposed to be eating chocolate, then the Rugaru is going to come after you and eat you.
Yeah, and as the most Christian here, I'm safe. So
I'm also wondering, was it just Catholics and Christians? Like, what? I'm sure there's lots of Jewish people in New Orleans. Like, are they going after? They're not going to, practice Lent.
Well, I think the Rugaru. Well, remember the document, which is funny. They were saying it. They say like it's the Cajun accent because the Cajun accent is like the Southern accent of France, like the.
Yeah.
Well, give me your Cajun accent. I want to hear it.
Oh, I know. The only thing I know is from Gambit of X-Men, and that's it.
I just know Princess of the Frog.
Wasn't one of the characters in True Blood the first season? Wasn't there a Cajun?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Remy,
there's a couple of them.
Yeah, he was Cajun, and he turned out to be the spoiler alert. He was the murderer.
Yeah, he wasn't actually Cajun, right? It wasn't actually Cajun, was he?
No, he wasn't. He was faking his Cajun accent.
How are there not Rugarus in True Blood? Okay, I just realized this. How was that? How are they just straight?
Maybe
werewolves?
they just went with werewolves in general.
Yeah,
I guess that's true.
Werewolves,
but they also had like werepanthers.
I feel like the Rugaru is just more complex, and that they're not. Well, Jason, I'm sorry, Jason, I'm taking away your thunder.
No, you're fine.
I wasn't fine from me earlier, but I guess when Aid does it.
Mikey, we were supposed to just list them, and then you were just like, "Oh, you took this one, so here." So now we're going to list it, and as we list it, if you have the person or the cryptid, excuse me, just jump out and give us your info.
Yeah.
Because we're already at 35 minutes. So anyways, but Jason, I'm sorry, maybe you were paying more attention because that was yours. So I was paying attention, but I wasn't.
I got you.
I was on my phone a little bit. So didn't they like explain like there was more of a not of a malevolent thing with the Rugaru?
Well, I don't know if it wasn't necessarily malevolent. Yeah, a little bit, and they would eat. But like I said, the biggest thing they were trying to do was attack people who weren't observing Lent was the biggest thing. I remember they talked about the whole story, which is basically the plot, the silver bullet, where a kid was getting chased by one and he cut him, and then the town physician showed up with the cut. And I was like, okay, that's literally just silver bullet.
Yeah, that's funny. I think it's interesting because it's kind of like werewolves are already such like a classic monster that everybody knows about. It's kind of like saying, if you're a vampire but in Texas, we're gonna call you the boo 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 boo.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like,
and and like A was saying earlier, they mentioned like similar. Apparently, Michigan's got like the Michigan Dog Man and the Wisconsin, which is like just other ways of being a werewolf, but they get it more regionalized, I guess. And of course, of all Louisiana Cajun Creole stuff is really out there. It's like for all the French stuff. It's basically the Southern accent with French on there. It's really just a really interesting place.
Doug, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You were tapping your mic, and so I was worried. Okay.
I lost my cord here.
He's like,
I know. I was like, I don't know if he's.
No, I was seeing if my wavelengths were going up when I touch it.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're all separate tracks, and so someone like whatever. If there's noise in the background, we can get rid of it.
Actually, I think the Rugaru is trying to curse me. I snuck a chocolate. So.
Oh, Douglas.
Only during Lent, though, apparently. So get it all out for Mardi Gras, and then when Mardi Gras is over, you better be on your best behavior.
Oh, actually, that's a good point because Lent is not triggered, but Lent follows Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras, yeah.
So that brings it all to the Cajun theme.
I could live in New Orleans. I had the best time there.
I did too. Yeah, I love the
amazing city.
Have you eaten king cake? I remember I ate king cake and I swallowed the baby. So I swallowed the baby.
No, I didn't swallow the baby.
I've swallowed many babies.
That kind of baby, yes, but no, not the little plastic baby. Oh, and side note, so my kids were fucking with me all year. Like they were, I guess, I don't know what it is, but they must have been ordering those little king cake babies. Yeah. And so all year I kept finding different colored king cake babies. Like there'd be little white ones, black ones, whatever, but then there'd be blue, purple ones. And they would stick them like in different places and like, because I'd have paper over here for them. I had pencils here for them. And I kept finding these babies and I just getting so mad, like, where are these babies coming from? And then one of my girls, she was like, Miss, you can buy them on Amazon. I'm like, that's not what I was asking. I'm like, who the fuck is throwing babies around?
Well, don't tell the Supreme Court. They'll probably ban king cakes after this, or you just discard babies everywhere.
We're discarding plastic babies. Oh no. Oh. Anyways, okay, let's continue. That was
at any rate, the last cryptid that I have on my list before Aid takes over and we can yell at her this time is the Jersey Devil.
A classic.
Yeah. The Jersey Devil actually is probably one that freaks me out the most because wasn't there like a whole thing about the Blair Witch Project that like there's like a theory that the Blair Witch is actually the Jersey Devil because it takes place in the Pine Barrens. I don't remember, but when I was younger, when I had my first corporate job, I think I was like 19, I was like a secretary and I wasn't really doing anything. So I would spend a lot of time reading about these folklores, and the Jersey Devil like really freaked me out, just like the accounts that people had and stuff. So if I remembered that was on the list, I probably would have volunteered to dive into it more. But do we have any movies about the Jersey Devil?
We have a really cool PS1 game.
What's it called?
Jersey Devil.
Ooh,
it was like Crash Bandicoot.
Isn't the last broadcast about the Jersey Devil?
The last broadcast is about the Jersey Devil or the Wendigo. I don't remember which one.
Okay.
All I can think of is that episode of Seinfeld where David Puddy painted his face as the devil's, and like he gave the priest a heart attack because it's a hockey team, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So they were all like for New York or whatever, and then Putty was wearing the devil's makeup, and Lane's like, "What the fuck?" And she has to go sit with him with a stone in his face. But yeah, so I never even knew that was a thing. I'm like, New Jersey in and of itself, New Jersey is truly the armpit of America. Like everybody wants to talk shit about Florida, but do we forget about New Jersey, or are we just like putting that aside for now? Like I don't understand.
New Jersey is quite beautiful. Thank you.
Everything I know about New Jersey, I learned from Bruce Springsteen and The Sopranos. Okay, so
yeah, but if you know only New Jersey history based off of Jersey Shore, then maybe you'd have that opinion.
Well, all I know is people, everyone's from Jersey can say, "I'm from Jersey." So, or they had the spray tan face that just like. So.
I remember the college years when Jersey Shore was huge, and we would always like pregame. We'd watch the Jersey Shore, and then we would just go out and get hammered. It was just a thing to do where I was from. That was the weirdest time.
I can see Jason being a little Guido.
Oh yeah, I would slick my hair back. I had it dyed black at the time. So no, I'm just kidding. No, I was just joking.
That's another piece of the puzzle. Yeah, well, I just, my thing is that like, don't come for Florida. We have New Jersey. You can still come for New Jersey. Like nobody cares about that. So moving on. Was that your last one? That was
number 6. So we have number 5 left. So you can take over because I didn't write those down.
Okay, so number 5, which was actually my thing, was the Bell Witch. And so I chose the Bell Witch, her cave is behind me. They do tours, ladies and gentlemen, in Tennessee. And I love Tennessee. I've been to Knoxville, had a great time. Really want to go to Nashville. I could live there, but it snows, so I don't know if I would actually move. Anyway, so for
Are you from Tennessee?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I'm from upstate New York.
Because that's a 10 I see.
Oh.
Is that me? Are you talking about me? Thank
Ew,
you.
gross. I'm not a lesbian, Aid.
I hate you. Anyways, so the Bell Witch, basically one of the biggest movies that was based off of her was An American Haunting. So I don't know if y'all saw that, but that was in 2005, and Donald Sutherland and Sissy Spacek were in it. I remember seeing this movie in the movie theater at the time. I couldn't tell you what the fuck happened in this movie.
That's always a good sign of a good movie right there.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. They had a good cast. Tom Fell was in it. I know he's in a bunch of movies too. So, but she's basically a supernatural being. She's not really a witch. She's a ghost, which is what confuses me, because they were saying she manifests as animals, birds. Sometimes she comes as a girl. She's hairy, or she has soft hands, and she can imitate voices. And she basically haunted the Bell family. And that's what I thought was the most interesting thing about this documentary, was that one of the Bell family members was actually on there to comment about it. Like, I mean, obviously he wasn't alive when it happened, but he was one of the descendants of the Bell family. So that was really cool. So there were instances, I'm sorry, I'm sounding like I'm from Florida. There were instances where the documentary actually had some good information to kind of convey to us, and not just try to like pander to everybody. Because I mean, if you really think about it, it's like with newspapers are written on a 6th grade level. Why? Because we have to make sure everybody understands. So that's basically how this documentary was, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. And that was kind of interesting that he was on there. I wish they'd done more stuff. Like there were people who saw like one of these cryptids or whatever. It would have been more interesting to had some of that as opposed to just talking heads talking about stuff. That was kind of my critique with the documentary. It would have been a little more interesting had they had some more people on the dock that had experiences with it.
That was like that Hutchinson chick this week saying, "Oh, well, so-and-so told me that Trump did this." Like, okay, thank you for like getting on the stand and telling us this, but you didn't see it. It's hearsay. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So anyways, but that's what it basically was. But they actually had a Bell family member, and he was there to kind of comment on what happens. But basically, especially around Halloween, so it was basically about this lady named Kate Bass, and she curses the Bell family and the farm. The Bell family was haunted by different beings. However, now people believe her to be a poltergeist. So she's not just a witch, but she's a poltergeist. What is interesting about the Bell Witch is that there's over 19 books written about this bitch. One of them which came into a movie. And so there are about 7 films. We've got The Bell Witch Haunting from 2013. There's another one with the same name, 2004. We've got the big one that I remember seeing with Donald Sutherland, because I have a list. 2005. The Bell Witch Legend, 2007, The Mark of the Bell Witch, 2004, Bell Book and Candle came out in 1958. So I'm sure that was popular back then because it was, a horror film back in the 50s.
What was it called? Bell Book and Candle?
Bell Book and Candle.
Sounds like a furniture store.
Yeah, I'm sure some people burned it,
And then The Bell Witch Legend, which came out in 2008. So really with her, I mean, the best thing, which is why I did The Cave, because she really sort of kind of reminded me of the Blair Witch. And the cave is located in Adams, Tennessee, near where the Bell Farm once stood. The cave is approximately 490 feet long. People say that they see her in there sometimes. And it's privately owned, but they do tours throughout the summer and in October. So if you ever happen to venture out that way, I think that'd be a fun little thing to scare, the piss out of you while you walk in. And maybe she'll appear to you, but she's basically a poltergeist. She is not a witch, which I find interesting. They call her that, but she's a woman, so she must be a witch, right? So,
of course,
whatever.
naturally.
Burn the witch.
Well, what was interesting? So side note, when I was in St. Augustine and I was in the torture museum, they had this scale that they actually used to make people get on, and witches are supposed to be under 99 pounds because the broom can't hold more than 99 pounds. So if you got on the scale, it would tip and tell you like if you were a witch, a demon, a this, a that, well, depending on your weight. Like this is a real thing. So I get on it. I go, am I allowed to stand on this thing? And Dan's not even answering because God forbid he listened to me for 5 minutes. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to stand on it. I stood on it. And then right away it tells me I'm a fucking witch. I'm like, I guess I would have been burnt at the
Jesus.
stake.
All I can think of now is Monty Python and the Holy Grail when they put her on, they had to wear against the duck. If she weighs more than a duck because they float, that must mean she's a witch.
Yeah. Right. See, if they accuse me as a witch burned at the stake, make mine medium rare, please.
Oh my God. So that was the Bell Witch. So she was mine. That's why we spent a little bit of time on her, but moving right along because we're at the 47-minute mark. Number 4, the Mothman, West Virginia, aka the Harbinger of Death. They kept repeating Harbinger of Death. Like, stop saying harbinger because you want to say that word. That was pissing me off.
Yeah, big words. What is this, PBS? No, this is Tubi.
1967 was his first sighting, apparently. He has massive wings, red eyes that hypnotize. And then there was this big bridge collapse, and the bridge that collapsed, all the people right before it collapsed, they claimed to see the Mothman, and then the bridge collapsed and 46 people died in this accident. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, not that they died, but the fact that they all saw the Mothman. They think that the Mothman brings them death. I don't think that's the case. And even the documentary says that. I think that he's just there to warn them, and these people fucking suck. So that's their problem. Anyways, number 3, La Llorona. She was also mine. Arizona. I thought she'd be like a Mexican thing.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I guess we're connected.
Arizona. The film starring Velma from
Linda Cardellini.
Linda Cardellini, with her perm and Legally Blonde. So with La Llorona, really quickly, she's a supernatural being. She manifests as Maria. So she was based off of this woman named Maria. It's over 100 years of sightings for her. Maria was seduced by some man. She had children, and she either lost her mind or the baby daddy left. So she drowned the children in response. So after she dies, and people condemned her to wander the night, and she's always looking for children. So I assume that the film is that whenever there's water nearby, that she takes the kids, or she tries to kill the kids when people see water. But that's really not the case. She's actually just like, I think, the Mothman in a sense, where she only targets 2 types of people. She appears in the water crying. She can be anywhere. She's usually dressed in a white gown or veil, long dark hair. She can look beautiful or old. But she's a moral compass to men. So men who are, a little promiscuous or acting a fool at the bar.
Guilty.
She shows up and she's like, nay, you may not do that.
Yeah, but I feel like she's an ally.
You didn't leave tips.
She's the original promising young woman. Is that what you're trying to say?
What was it, like Mary Lou, Prom Mary Lou? That's her. I kept thinking of that when I was listening to
Prom Night 2.
Prom Night 2, something
Mary Lou.
Hello, Mary Lou.
Yeah, Hello, Mary Lou.
That is a movie and a half if you guys haven't seen that one yet.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
We'll do that when school gets back in. We'll just do high school slasher movies.
That'd be cute.
That would be so fun. Okay. slasherspod@gmail.com if you agree. But anyway, she also targets children, and but basically parents use her, and this is true because parents have, Mikey and I are Hispanic, so maybe I don't know how white people behave, but
Doug's Hispanic too, a little bit.
Yeah,
oppressive. That's how white people behave. Oppressive.
But like there's always like some kind of myth to kind of scare the shit out of you so you go to bed. And in this case, La Llorona was something that the parents would use to scare the kids, and then they would like behave, right? So
yeah.
She's not what the movies I guess are trying to convey. With La Llorona, there's over 56 books written about her, and most of them are young adult fiction or children's books or fantasy, simply because they're using her as a warning to
I
children.
had never heard of this myth, this cryptid, until that movie came out like 5 years ago. I'd never heard of this. No, I'd never heard of it.
Well, it was a good scary, like parents. I see why La Llorona would be good for kids, because it's like, oh, make sure you're home before dark. Well, you can't do that nowadays, but make sure you're home before dark, because La Llorona comes out and she's like, "Ay, mis hijos," and she takes the kids off the street. So
good for her.
Yeah.
Get your little skanky kids off the street. Why are they outside? So there's that. So there's La Llorona. If y'all want to check that out, I have not seen the film. It's a Blumhouse. Metadata. So if you want to watch it, I think it's streaming right now on Netflix.
Actually, I think that's Warner Hose.
No, it's Blumhouse. It's in
it is?
The Conjuring.
Well, same difference. So
yeah, whatever. It is what it is. But Blumhouse follows us, so we can't say too much. Anyways, so number 2, who the hell had the Wendigo or the Wendigo?
I don't think anybody had it, but
Jake
I do love the Wendigo.
He was here.
Yeah, the Wendigo.
Yeah. The Wendigoon. That's cute, Doug.
Our new shirt. A Wendigoon. I thought we had a Wendigoon. Oh, but that was taken from us. I forgot. No, we did have a design that was the Wendigo.
It was taken?
Because the Wendigo is what Antler says about, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
I remember that was one. I wanted to go see that, but I remember it was one of those early casualties of the pandemic movie theater watch. It was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Let's all go catch COVID to see Antlers. Yay. But anyways, I thought that was interesting because it was from Minnesota. I'm like, who the hell cares about Minnesota? Apparently they're the Wendigo. Oh,
please note that Abe's opinions are not reflective of the Slashers podcast hosts.
Well, okay, no, that's true. I'm sorry. If you're from Minnesota, I love you. I love Rhode Island. I watch Golden Girls. I love St. Olaf, if that's a place.
Minnesota, we love you. You have good sales tax.
And hot guys, thank you. Hot confused
the Twin
men.
Cities, what up?
Oh, do they have you know what, there's nothing like a good like Aryan blonde man to make my day. Anyways,
the twins, ask them about the twins, the Minnesota.
Yeah, you get a cream pie from all sides.
That's also so this is a long weird story, but I just remember, so their college basketball team came to Raleigh to play basketball for the tournament. And it was a lot of teams were playing there, and my friend got tickets for it. And he was like sitting next to these their basketball team is called the Golden Gophers. And I just remember and they had a big announcement. Coming up next is Minnesota playing such and such. And then you just heard some weird random guy going, "Go Gophers!" And like this weird weird accent.
That's how they would say. I saw a golfer down there.
Go Gophers! So every time I see Minnesota, just in the back of my head, I always go, "Go Gophers!"
That's funny.
Well, I didn't think the Wendigo was there. I thought it was I was thinking of, I don't know what it made me think of, the Ritual for some reason.
Because of the horns.
Yeah, because the horns. But they also said it was from upstate New York, which is technically where I'm from. So there you go. We got a Wendigo up there too. It's probably just some guy drunk.
Yeah, he's in office right now.
But
I'm not a Wendigo. I'm Italian. That's what he said.
I know. There's just New York. Anyways, they say that the Wendigo is the embodiment of the harsh winters, devours human flesh. Good for him. Very smart, mimics voices to lure people in. Okay, great. And then number 1, we have Bigfoot.
Boo. I'm so tired of Bigfoot.
Yeah, as soon as they said, the last scariest monster, I'm like, Bigfoot, get the fuck out. Like, seriously.
Who fucking cares about Bigfoot? Like, literally,
I'm so tired of that big bitch.
So, Doug, can you take this one over since this is your shtick?
Yeah, so Bigfoot's got about a size 10 foot. Anyway, yeah, so Bigfoot, he's all over Washington, but Bigfoot's everywhere. Like, I remember them even saying, like, up Northern California where Willow Creek was, where they filmed that original Bigfoot walking stuff. But no, this has, like, I think my favorite character, I'll call him a character, but they have, like, the Bigfoot conventions. People are in, like, it's like anime convention, but they're all dressed up in, like, Bigfoot. There's a pink, long-haired pink Bigfoot, and they're out there in the heat too, so I give them credit for these costumes. But then we get the one guy, I'm trying to remember what his name was, but all I remember him, he's see, I keep referencing these Cow and Chicken stuff, but he looked like Fleming Earl from Cow and Chicken, if you remember that.
So
yeah. Yeah, like the glasses, and then he just kind of, just really nerdy. He's like, this is my cop car right here, and this is made to arrest Bigfoot. Bigfoot's gonna be real scared. The lights are gonna shut him away. I even put a Bigfoot decal on the back window, so if he comes by, he'll know that this is to arrest him. I mean, I'm a big guy myself, but Bigfoot could probably take me on too, or he just might rip the door off if I arrest him. So it doesn't really matter anyway, because I hope I don't have to arrest Bigfoot, but if I have to, my car is here. And that's why the people here at the show really like me here, because they know that I'm one-on-one with Bigfoot. We can battle it. Like, and it's all serious.
He was driving a lifted Crown Vic. I'm like, what of all the vehicles you could go Bigfoot? You can't really take that thing out in the woods.
Yeah, you go about 5 miles with the price of gas now. He's like, oh gas is on. So
he's like, oh, I had to get this, what was it, this kind of glass? And he's like, it took me a couple of years to get it. I'm like, who the fuck has time for that? Where are you getting this money? What do you do for a living? Like,
oh, I sell drugs. I'm a drug dealer.
I sell all over the upper Washington state area, I'm
a street pharmacist.
Yeah, meth. Meth is what it really is, okay?
I don't know. From those decals, it looks like he went to 99 cents only stores and just bought the decals there. But no, I mean, I guess Bigfoot Busters, like, that's what he gave me the vibe of, like, just a single. Like, imagine if Ghostbusters was just one nerdy guy with a Bigfoot car. He's like, but I catch Bigfoot.
Well, everybody's a hobby, I guess, but I mean, still.
Well, yeah,
so
I can't for that.
out of all the movies that have been out there, what have been the ones that y'all have liked about Bigfoot?
Night of the
Demons. There we go.
Yeah, the one where Bigfoot rips the guy's dick off when he's taking a piss.
That was the Night of the Demons?
Well, there's Night of the Demon and Night of the Demons.
Night of the Demon is the one that came out in 1980. That's the one with that's like the goriest Bigfoot movie.
Yeah, that one came out in like 1980. Night of the Demon is the one. Night of the Demons is the one with Linnea Quigley doing the lipstick thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a found footage one that's supposed to be really good. Now I can't even think of the name.
I think it's called Willow Creek.
Willow Creek, yeah.
That's probably going to be I think that's probably like the scariest one I've seen. There's one. I have to
admit that is the scariest one.
Yeah, there's another one that came out. It was like limited time in the theater, and it was very fucked up, and I did not like it.
Harry and the Hendersons? Was that?
No.
Well, that's why I always think of Bigfoot as Harry and the Henderson. I'm like, how can you be scared of him?
If you don't cry at the end of that movie, you don't have a heart. Like, I'm just
no, but so there is a podcast out there that just specializes in Bigfoot sightings, and people call in and talk about their whatever. And there is this one episode, because I'm not really big on Bigfoot, but my friend was like, hey, you should listen to this episode. It's pretty startling or like disturbing. And I listened to it, and it was like an older man who was like hiding this, I don't know if it's like a secret or what, but where he ran into what he assumed was Bigfoot. in the forest and they were super close and he shot him and he killed him. And like, I guess he left and then came back and the body, like no one ever reported a body. And he's been struggling with the fact that like, what if he actually shot like a person or was it Bigfoot? But then he like describes Bigfoot and he's an older guy and like very seriously. And it's so strange to listen to it because he's talking about Bigfoot's body and how muscular it was. And he's like going into details about like the curvature of like his body. And then at the end, he's like, and he was erect. And like, I was so uncomfortable listening to it. But that when I think of Bigfoot now, that's the only thing that I think of that comes to mind is that fucked up episode and wondering what this guy did.
So Bigfoot's into bondage then.
I don't know. It was just super weird. Cause then like, I don't mean any disrespect.
Boggy Creek. That's a good one. What would Bigfoot's safe word be? Oklahoma?
Yeti.
Don't pull me out. I'm about to come. Like, keep going for a few days.
Are there really any good Bigfoot movies? I know there's a lot.
This one, I forgot about this. So Boggy Creek 2. So it's the sequel to The Legend of Boggy Creek. This movie is actually kind of creepy. So if you like people being terrorized in a cabin by Bigfoot, I have the old laser disc of this.
I was gonna say, is that a laser disc?
Like, what the hell is that?
Oh, you never seen this? Oh yeah, this is for you video viewers here. So before DVD, this is a laser disc. You have to flip it when the movie's halfway done. You got to flip it out like that. And that's the only copy I have Boggy Creek 2 on because it's not available on Blu-ray or anything.
Oh wow, that's actually really cool. I thought that they were smaller than that.
No, it's big. It's bigger than my head.
Yeah, I remember the only time when I was in 7th grade, we had like some science programs we had to watch on Laserdisc together. But I'm looking at Bigfoot movies. I feel like I'm trying to see which ones I've seen. That Primal Rage is the one that I said was really fucked up that I didn't like.
I know there's a Lance Henriksen, like a Sasquatch movie.
It's called Sasquatch. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I've seen that at some point. I don't remember anything about it. It might. What's it? Abominable. That sci-fi original movie.
Yeah. I was thinking of Abominable. So
I liked that one.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, I loved it because it was like Rear Window, but with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So is Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and Yeti, are they the same thing?
Yeah. It's a regional thing, you know.
I think Yeti's in the winter. Like Yeti's in like the mountains and like snow.
Yeah. Have you also heard of sorry, go ahead.
No, but Sasquatch and Bigfoot are the same thing. Unless you're the Rugrats when they said it was Satchmo. Remember? And they were so scared and like Stu comes out. They're like, we're running from Satchmo. He's like the trumpet player. Sorry, I had to bring that in because that's the only thing I ever think of with Sasquatch is Rugrats. But anyways.
So there's another Lance Henriksen Bigfoot movie called Devil on the Mountain, which has Serena Vincent, who I really like, but it's probably not great.
Well, there's also another one for you Vinegar Syndrome lovers out there. There's a movie called The Geek. It's a 1970s porno featuring Bigfoot.
Oh,
sounds like fun.
It's not very attractive though. I mean, the girl's asshole had more hair than Bigfoot in it when she spread it.
She didn't shave it.
No, I'm like, is that the front or the back? Oh, wait a minute. Like, why am I questioning this? I'm watching a porno from the 1970s.
Are you going to double feature that tonight with Bat Pussy?
Shave anything
Bat
back
Pussy,
then. Ugh, like just shave it. Like it was like a whole. Like, did you ever find like old porn from your parents? And it was like
in the woods. Yeah.
Yeah. But see, I'm used to like I could understand bush, like you know, vaginal bush. But hair in your ass, like it looked like a Brillo pad. Like it
was everywhere and they didn't care. And I'm like, ew.
So I was just thrown off by that. And then they painted Bigfoot in like different colors. So when he's like fucking the girl in the ass, he has like the smear paint all over her ass. I'm like, this is who's gonna jack off to this?
Wait, so is this like a Sasquatch in blackface? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
Yeah, basically, I did. It's a nice way of wording it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay, to that end, we're done with Sasquatch today. So, really quickly before we end this, of all of the cryptids that we discussed today, are there any that we feel that could possibly be real? So let's just go around the room. Mikey, let's start with you.
Well, I would have to say there's been pretty compelling evidence and video footage of things that look like they could be a chupacabra. It's not going to look like a fantastical monster, but based off of some of the footage, it kind of looks like a wildebeest, like mixed with a dog. It has like a coyote with no hair, but like a wildebeest head. So that one I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, the big octopus in the lake, I joke around about it, but if there was an octopus in the lake killing people, it's not the end of the world. For them it is, but not for us. That could be true.
Well, I hope it is true, because then Oklahoma can make a new siete mare soup.
There's something about the Jersey Devil and the Mothman that I just think something might be going on, but I don't know exactly what it is. Only because of how long they've been around for and like the sightings. And then Bigfoot can go fuck himself. I'm sorry.
It probably does.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Okay, Doug, what about you?
Well, I gotta say, I out of all of them, I mean, the octopus one would be nice, but octopus in freshwater, kind of hard to believe. I mean, the only thing that I could really think would be kind of true, just because I don't. It's weird because I'm a skeptic on most things, but I do feel like there is negative energy and negative vibes and certain things. So I do think the Bell Witch one could probably be the closest. Like, it's probably not the witch itself, like maybe just like bad energy in that cave somewhere. So I think that one is kind of true there, because you could like sense it. I kind of not going off topic, but when I was driving down to Tennessee to see my buddy Alex, when I was living in Ohio, there's this place called Bobby Mackey's Music World, and it's right at the bottom part of Ohio into Kentucky. And I went there, and they said, and I was there at like 5 a.m, and it's really haunted, because they said like in the basement there's like a hole where they used to like chop people's heads off and throw it in the basement hole. And I went there at 5 a.m. It's near the train tracks. And I felt like a weird vibe. Like, I don't know what it was. I felt like someone was tapping on the windows, and because I parked in the parking lot just like take pictures and stuff. And I don't know, it was a weird energy. So I'm like, maybe there's something there, or maybe I'm just thinking it. But that's why I think the Bell Witch one would probably be the most true. So.
And yeah, no, I agree. Jason, what do you think?
I mean, Chupacabra seems the most likely. I'm not sure, like I really do, but I mean, you see like coyotes with bad mange. I can just kind of see that thing happening more than it. With Bigfoot and like other ones, like everybody's got trail cams, everybody's got traps, everybody's got drones flying out constantly. It's just really hard for me to swallow something that big. There's no proof for it, but you see videos. But I mean, you see like amateur cosplayers these days put out like stuff like they walked out of like Industrial Light and Magic. It's hard for me to really believe in Bigfoot at this point. So yeah, Chupacabra sounds like the most likely. I want the Rugarus to be true. That'd be cool. The New Orleans basketball team really really fucked up when they decided to go with New Orleans Pelicans and not the New Orleans Rugarus.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I agree with Doug. I think that the Bell Witch or even Llorona, like it's like this bad energy or manifestation of energy that like comes with those things. I feel like anytime we talk about ghosts or anything like that, it's always like this hard, like anytime you're in a place where you just feel sickened, to me, I think is more realistic. I also feel that Chupacabra could be real because again, like Jason and Mikey had said, they were talking about that they could be coyotes with mange, and I'm like, that sounds more realistic than I just don't know what the hell is draining the blood from the animals. So like, what's happening, right?
That's the only weird part about the whole Chupacabra thing. It was like, what's got two fangs and like sucking their blood?
Yeah, so that's the only. Oh, okay, Doug.
You're pointing at me.
Are you pointing at like we all of us are in different order, Mikey? So
yeah,
well, then I guess you'll just have to think about who I was pointing at.
all right, Jason. I hope you have kids to unload right now.
I was about to say, Mikey's gonna take that one to the grave.
Oh my gosh! Well, this was a lot of fun, guys. I'm glad we talked about this. And Mikey, thank you so much for suggesting this, because this was a great episode for 4th of July. And I think that like talking about these cryptids in American folklore, like we do have our little shticks here, and I know that there's a lot of other cryptids that are from different regional areas, and the documentary does mention that. So if you didn't hear something that was from your particular state or from your regional area, whatever, I'm sure it's mentioned in the documentary. If it's not, then I'm sure you can find something on it online. And feel free to email us aid@slasherspod@gmail.com, or message us on Instagram and piss us off. I don't give a shit. Anyways,
send us money so we can go investigate all these locations and figure out if they're real or not.
And I'll pee myself for
yes, Doug is ready to piss himself for the scariness. So
it's so scary.
To that end, we are about to tie up the episode. So Mikey, where can we go to get any Slashers Pod swag? Like, what should we do? If you want something with a goon show on your tits, where would you go?
If you totally want a goon show on your tits, you can go to redbubble.com/slasherspod and view and buy any of our logos and art prints on anything you'd want, from t-shirts, mugs, probably tampoons. I don't know exactly everything that's there. Mouse pads, body, what are those pillows that hold you at night? Things like that. I don't know. But t-shirts mostly are the way to go.
Okay. And Jason, where can Patreon members go to subscribe to our
Go to Patreon/Slashers Podcast. And you could join. We have several tiers and lots of rewards. We at least put out a fun Patreon every month, and we're glad to have anybody suggest what they would like to hear. Again, aid@slasherspodcast.com.
Okay, thank you. And Doug, I know we've got lots of B-Movie TV to plug with you. Which is
yes. Well, yeah, I was gonna say, we got a really nice book that I'm reading. It's called AIDS Book. You remember? Toxic Love.
Oh my God.
Last Call, a Toxic Love Story. So you can find that book on Amazon. I have it down on my shelf, so that's why I saw it. I'm like, oh yeah, we better plug AIDS Book for the summertime reading.
So
we gotta get the kids in summer school to read it for their project.
No, it's so inappropriate. There's a lot of sex in it, people. I can't.
We'll do an episode without Aid and not tell her, and then we'll release it of us reviewing her book.
Yeah, we'll do the voices. But so we got a lot brewing. It is 4th of July today that you guys are listening to this, so this already happened on the weekend. But this weekend, it'll be in repeats too. But we got new Friday night action, new Saturday night tears. The Saturday night tears that Yahira is hosting Saturday at 10 p.m. on B-Movie TV on Roku. It's actually my buddy Alex Powers' film. This is the first time it's going to be screened on any sort of platform. It's called The Con. So it's basically a real life story of what happened to us when we made Gross House and tried to get that submitted to film festivals, and how we were rejected multiple times. So it's a true life story, and apparently my character is a obese redneck. So in the movie, I don't know how that happened, but I'm in the movie too. I play I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm in the movie too, and you may or may not see my dick and tits. I don't know, but this was a few years ago that we filmed that, but it's available for the first time through B-Movie TV. And we got a new Grandpa Oates Sundays at 10 p.m. This movie is another big one here. We got tons of new skits in there. We got plenty of public access, commercials in there. And yeah, Grandpa Oates is more perverted than ever in this episode. So come give him a visit Sundays at 10 p.m. And so we got new Slashers Pod commercials I edited that's going to play on the channel like during intermissions and stuff. So keep an eye. You'll see the Slashers Podcast logo pop up every now and then. If you do, take a picture and send it to us, and we'll send you some stickers or a mug or a used tampon or something.
Yay!
That's cute.
Okay, well, guys, I had a great time tonight. I think that the four of us did a great job. Like, we're so sweet to each other. So thank you, boys, for being so awesome.
Are you throwing shade at somebody?
Yes, I want to throw shade at the fact that nobody picked on me today. So it made me feel very good. So with that, I want to say happy 4th of July, everybody. I hope we're having a great weekend, and goodbye and good die.
Okay.